Just a second, everybody. There we go. Now we're on. Okay. All right. So this is your typical Google Sheet. I just opened up a brand new spreadsheet. And what I did was I added a few tabs at the bottom. We'll show that to you as well. But what we're going to talk about is how we're going to get kids to input data onto a spreadsheet. And you might think, oh my gosh, that if I'm teaching first grade, because I always go back to first grade since that's what I taught. That was my magic place, was first grade. And yes, my first graders could do this. Anybody can do this because it's just putting in numbers or putting in letters, and you're like, oh my gosh, but they're not gonna be able to type. Well, we're gonna show you a really cool way that we can get them not to have to type, but to still select something. So we'll show that to you. So we're gonna start with weather. And again, I taught first grade, so this is like a kinder through second thing where we're up doing the calendar math and we're going over the weather. And we are graphing the weather up at the board. So we have a graph up here. But now what I want to do is I want to take this graph that's up here on my calendar math, and I want them to go back to their tables, and I want them to do it on their Google Sheet. I want them to create a Google Sheet. So we'll say we have 3 weeks of data. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, our 5 days a week, and we have our 3 weeks to put our data in here. So if I were just to let them go, let's just pretend that I'm just some crazy person and I'm going to let my kids go. What's going to happen on Monday, Tuesday? Do you think they're going to get it right? You think they're going to actually be able to type in here and get it out? What do you think, Larry? What do you think is going to happen if we have some first graders?
They're going to struggle a little bit. So you want to demonstrate with them.
Okay.
It's
all right.
the way I would do it.
Okay. Well, first thing I'm going to do is as a teacher, I'm going to already have this set up, and I'm going to make it, and then they'll have a copy of this, right? We're going to do it that way. We may even do it through Google Classroom, or probably Google Classroom would be the best way. But before I give this to them, I don't want to give it to them like this. I don't want to do that because who knows what they're going to type in here? Who knows what they're going to put in here? They might want to try to put pictures and all kinds of other stuff in here. And right now, all I want them to do is to let me know if it's sunny, cloudy, or rainy outside. There's 3 words there. So this is what we're going to do. And if you want to open up a spreadsheet so you can do this right along with me. All right, I just put week 1, week 2, week 3 at the top, the days of the week along the side. And now what I'm going to do, was that a question?
No, Michelle, signing.
No, she just put the name that she came in. Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, thank you. Yes, all right.
I got you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this area that's in the middle here where I'm going to be putting my data. All right, so I'm going to highlight this all the way down to Friday. So you see, I just made just a whole square there, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this so this is what they call a data validation. And it sounds really scary, but I promise you it's not. So I'm going to go up here to data, because data validation. We go down to data validation. Okay, and I'm not going to put the criteria from a range. I'm going to put it from a list of items. Okay, and so I click on list of items, and the first one I'm going to put in here is sunny, and it says that if I have a list of items, I need to separate them by comma. So sunny, cloudy, rainy. I've got 3, right? Maybe I should put a capital letter here, maybe a little space in here. There we go. Put a space in there. Okay, and you'll notice here that there's a check mark that says show drop down list in cell. That's kind of important. All right, so now I'm going to save. Watch what happens when I click save. Boom. I have all of these little disclosure arrows. That's the proper term for them. And so when I click on the disclosure arrow, I have 3 choices to put into that cell. My students aren't going to have to type anything in at this point. They're going to have to choose from this list. Okay, so step 1, we have that. Okay, so now, what if I want what they're putting into the cell, whether it's sunny, cloudy, or rainy? What if I wanted to change the color based on what they're putting into the cell? Wouldn't that be cool, Larry? That way they could just look at it and they can go, oh, look at all the yellows for the sunny.
Oh, that would make it easy.
Look at all the gray ones for the cloudy, right? So how would I do that? Remember, I haven't given this to my students yet. How would I do that? I'm going to do the same thing that I did before. I highlighted the same amount of area, just my data area, the area where I want them to put in data. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to go up to format, and then I'm going to go to conditional format. And what that means is that when something particular is in a cell, it's going to turn it a specific color. So I go to conditional formatting. Okay. And right now it's going to say, okay, if the cell is not empty, then it's going to make it this lime green color. But I'm going to change that. So I'll go to the format rule is text contains. And the first one, of course, is sunny. And when it's sunny, I want it to be bright yellow, super bright yellow. And I click add another rule because I have 3, right? So the text contains sunny is my first rule. And now we're going to add a second rule. Hopefully, did it add my first rule? I don't think it added it. I don't think it's doing it. Let me click done. Oh, I did. It added it twice. My mistake. All right. So my second rule is that it's going to contain, what was my second one? Cloudy, right?
Yes.
And what color should we have for cloudy?
I'd say let's go with gray.
Let's go with the dark gray. We'll go with the
Yeah.
dark gray. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add another rule, and text contains rainy. Okay. And this one we'll make blue. We'll make a dark blue. Okay. And now we click done. So we have sunny, cloudy, and rainy. Here's my 3 rules. All right. So now here's Monday. And now I'm going to make a copy of this, put it in Google Classroom, and then the students will have their own copy, right? And so now they're going to start to put in the data based on our graph that's on the front of the room. So, okay, so on Monday it was sunny. Look at that.
It's yellow.
It's yellow. So now I can do sunny again. Maybe on Tuesday it was sunny, and on Wednesday it was cloudy. And of course in El Paso we have so many cloudy days, right? We did yesterday, and then because I want to put some different data in here. Okay, so then they get really excited when things change color, right? So they put sunny, and then they say, no, oops, I made a mistake. It wasn't sunny on Monday last week. It was cloudy, and it automatically it's going to turn that color. Okay, and I'm just going to fill the rest of this in really quick here. I'm just going to copy this and see all I do is kind of drag it down. So now we had 3 days in a row of sunny. I'm going to make another rainy day, even though we don't have that many here in El Paso. So I want to, there we go, cloudy and rainy. Okay, so now very quickly, they can look on there, and if I were to ask them, how many rainy days were there? Immediately, they're going to tell me, right? Because they can just look at this data, and because it's so eye-popping with the colors that we chose, they're going to know instantly, which is really, really good. But what if we want them to look at this in a graph format? Yeah, we might have a graph at the front of the room, but we want to make our own graph. Now that they've imported and put this data in here, now let's make a graph out of it. Now, because we're not using numbers, we have to tweak it just a little bit, but that's half the fun of making a graph. Okay, that's half the fun. So what I'm going to do is I want to make what's called a chart or a graph, and I'm going to highlight the whole bunch here from Monday through Friday, week 1, week 2, week 3. We're going to do all of it because I want all of it to be on my graph. And I can make a graph in 2 ways. Right here, insert chart, or if I go up to insert, I can insert chart. Either one will give you the same, and I just put insert chart, and it's, there's no data. Oh no, what did I do wrong, Larry? First of all,
you clicked on, look at where you clicked. There you go.
Well, no, actually I have to edit the chart here.
Yep.
Okay. And right here it says, what am I going to use for my data? So first thing, wait, you know what? I think I must have clicked on the wrong box. Let me try that.
Yeah, you need to highlight that. There you go.
Yeah, I think my mouse, my battery on my mouse, I think is starting to go out just a little bit. It was my fault. Let me try that again. Okay, here we go. It's saying, hey, there's no data in here. So what I do is I'm going to use the row 1, which is right here. I want these to be as headers because I want week 1, week 2, week 3. Okay. And I also want to use row A as labels. Okay. All right. Now you're going to say, but there's still no data in here. So if I click aggregate data, it's going to start to work on it a little bit. And we are under sum, but we want to do count. Okay. And you'll notice that on Monday, it's just showing 1, But watch this. It's still not making sense, I know. But if I click right in here and I go to week 1, now I have data for all 3 weeks. There's week 1, week 2, and week 3. We have sunny. We had 2 days that were sunny on week 1. And it looks like on week 2, we should have had 3 days that were sunny on week 2. Let's try that again. Let's go to week 2. Here's week 2. Okay. And what it's doing is it's kind of bringing in some of the other data from the other one here. I might not have, maybe I need to switch the rows here. What do you think, Larry?
I would go ahead and switch. Yeah, there you go. There you got week 1, week 2, and week 3. And then you have the columns showing what percentage of each.
Yeah, I'm still thinking it's not
What is it
quite
though?
all
You
the
have
right.
You have 2 sunny, 2
But see, on
cloudy.
week 2, we have
But
3
you have the
sunny, and
Friday.
it's not showing 3. And it should be showing 3 for week 2. It's not doing that. It's being obstinate with me. So I'll have to look at that one. This is the proper way of doing it. I can tell you. I've done this 100 different ways. But you can actually what were you
Let
gonna say?
me go ahead and show a little bit, Misha.
Sure. Go
And
ahead.
so let me pop in the screen. So kind of give you the idea. Now, she picked so that you have the words that. Now, let me show you with numbers what it kind of looks like. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. And here I have a very simple spreadsheet, just like Misha's was, but I do have numbers on it. And this one here is where, let's say, is on transportation and how many students saw certain number of vehicles, planes, or trains. It's just data. So now here I have the transportation. I have my cars, my planes, and my trains. Sounds like a movie, doesn't it?
It does.
On Monday, let's say the students saw 5 cars. They saw 6 planes and 9 trains. I wonder where they lived to see that many trains, but here we go. Now, what Misha was doing was showing how to do a chart. So what you got to do is you got to tell the spreadsheet what data you want to share with. So for example, if I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to share this data, I'm going to highlight it and click in. Now, yes, you could do multiple ways of creating a chart. I can do insert and I can use that, or I can go over here. And if I not spread out far enough, let me spread out a little bit more. Notice how I have right here my chart symbol. So when I click on it, it kind of tries to think, what is it that you're working with? So notice here I have on Monday, notice that on the cars I have. On the planes, they're blue. I have, so you see the number of the columns, so you can kind of compare. Does that make sense? And so here I have on Tuesday for cars is the red bar. So here they can talk about the bars and what they have here. But here's what's really fun. A lot of times our students struggle to see what a pie chart truly means. So if I go in, I'm going to switch it out. And I'm going to switch from column chart. And I'm going to scroll down. Look at all the types of charts I have, depending on what kind of data. And if you haven't played with the charts, you got to play with the charts. But I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go into a pie chart. Now, this is showing them the titles. But I want you to look at the values on the right side. So here we have 45% of trains was for Monday, right? And I know I see the Monday here. That is the Monday pie chart. If I wanted to switch it to the Tuesday pie chart, I can click on it and then I go into the Tuesday pie chart. So here I can see the different components of the pie chart. And now the students are seeing the pie chart. Now, here's what's amazing. Let's start playing with the numbers. So instead of 9, I only saw 2. What happens to my pie chart here? Oh, I didn't activate.
You have to go back in and, no, you have to go back in and do Monday because you're doing Tuesday, right?
Oh, you're right.
Click
You're
on
right.
the 3 dots. Yeah.
Hello. I knew that. I knew that. You caught me.
The three dots on the, yeah, there you go.
So in here, let's go back. Let's make sure I got my pie chart. And I'm going to make sure I'm on Monday. Here I
There
am.
you go.
So I
There you
made the
go.
change, and there it is. So let's make a chart changing cars from 5 to 10 and see how the pie chart changes. You want the
Yeah.
students to see that
Mhm.
change because that's how they can understand what the pie chart is all about. They can do this with the bar chart easily. So for example, let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to click it. I'm going to delete the pie chart. And they're one layer on top of the other. I could have just spread them out if I wanted to. And so I'm going to select transportation, and I'm just going to go to Monday. I'm going to go to the top just because I wanted to simplify the process with my students. I go into the pie chart. I'm up here, excuse me, charts. I have a column chart. And then notice how this is only for Monday, transportation. How many cars do I have that I see? I saw 10. So look at the bar chart. They start to make connections what the chart really means. So now, if I make any changes here, just like the pie chart, it makes the changes on the chart. So, but if I change the numbers, so on planes, I saw 0. What happens? Why did the bar go away? Right? And if you have this on that interactive board of yours that's on the top that many of us have, it makes sense to the students. One of my favorite lessons to do with first graders would be favorite foods. And so what I would do is I'd make a list all the way down. Okay, kids, how many of you like hot dogs? They raise their hand. How many of you like hamburgers? They raise their hand. How many of you like liver and onions? Nobody would raise their hand. But the concept is that they see the data and the data starts to make sense to them.
Yeah.
They see the bar chart, they see the pie chart. Which chart makes sense to use? And
Now, I have a question for you, Larry.
Yes.
Can you change the colors of those bars in there so
Absolutely.
that way they're all not the same color? Because if you're
Absolutely,
trying
you
to
can.
distinguish between cars and planes and trains, maybe you might want to.
And the funny thing is, I actually do Excel more than this, but I'll figure it out. I'm with you, Misha.
Okay.
Guide me through it.
So go to the, if you go
And
back to the you're on the chart now.
Okay.
Okay, so now you're going to click on now you're back on the Monday chart. So can you go back to the one where you just did Monday?
Yep, absolutely.
Because that way they'll all be the same. That one you might have to.
Well, it won't let me delete.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's.
There you go. So let me do it again. I'm just going to highlight. Now I'm only picking Monday, so I have the simple 3 bars. And I'm going to go ahead and hit chart.
Chart, there it is. Okay, so now what you can do is you can go to customize. Okay, and right now, because you're looking at one day, but if you click on one of the bars, let's say you click on the cars, okay, and you click on it and it shows that it's auto for the fill color, but if you click in there, look at the disclosure arrow and you can pick whatever color you want.
Red cars.
There we go. So now we can change the colors of them. And so, everybody's chart will be different, but yet they'll still be able to know that, oh yeah, I picked red for cars, and for planes I picked green, and for trains I picked blue. And that way they'll be able to see that. And again, theirs might be different than somebody else.
There you go. And so that's a little bit about charts. Now, let me show you real quick what else you can do. The amazing thing about spreadsheets is about numbers and data. So you can use what's called formulas. Now, we're not going to get very in detail about formulas on my side, but let's say I have these numbers here, 10, 5, and 2. I highlight those numbers, and I always give myself one extra space. And then notice over here you have the little formula function symbol, and I click on that arrow, And I just want to do a sum. I want to know what the total is. So when I hit sum, notice it puts the formula in. Equals sum, and then it puts in a range. In parentheses, B2 to B5. So when I hit the return key, it gives me the average. You see how it does that? And I like that because could you imagine if your students were doing a grade book and they were actually putting in, and what would happen if I get a 0? And they see the impact of that 1 0. Well, let's take it down and let's do a different formula. Yeah, let's take a look. So instead of we're just going to pretend here I got an 80% for this. I got a 75 on my next, and I got a 0. And my average, what?
Well, yeah, it's because you did sum. You didn't do average, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, but there you go.
Yeah,
So
it's the
now
same concept.
that's the sum.
Yeah.
But let's say we're going to do average now. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to highlight it again. And let's do the average. I click up here.
On the little E again. Oh,
I'm
look,
going to hit
right underneath sum.
average. And notice what the formula is. You're going to start to see a pattern here. Equals average in parentheses B2 to B5. I hit return. And now I have a 51% because of that 0. And so one of the things I always would do is have my students keep a little bit of a grade book on the grades. That way they can see the impact. And you also can go ahead and come down. Let's do a different one. All right, let's do a count. Equal count. And I have 3 because I have 3 numbers in, and it's doing a count of how many times data was put in. So that's doing formula. How about a lesson in money management where students are having to figure out and put together a budget of what it takes to live?
These numbers don't have money symbols or anything like that on there. How would they do that?
All right. So what you can do is come up to the top. And you see this format up here, but you also see the $ format as currency.
Oh.
So when I click on, it's now currency.
Oh, that's easy.
So there you go. That's how easy it is. If I wanted to make it percentages, I can make it by percentages. All right. Any questions so far? I'm sorry, Misha. I
Oh, no. I told you we're doing this together. So,
all right. Are you ready?
No way. I am ready. Yes.
Okay. Let me move it on to you. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Let me go ahead and share out my tab here. There we go. Oops, this one. There we go. Okay, we're back to this one. All right, so I moved away from the weather one. And we're going to still talk about K through second. We're going to do behavior. We also have one for 3-5 and for 6-12. So we'll get there. But for behavior, what will we use for behavior, Larry? What will we use? Good and bad. I hate to use the words good and bad. Is there something else that we could use instead?
We could do a representation with numbers. I always use numbers on mine.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
You know what? Well, we're not going to make a graph with this one, but because it's already going to be a pictorial graph.
Uh-oh. How about smiley and sad faces then?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so here's how this works. So if I got my kids and we're talking about, okay, did you have a good day today or did you not have a good day today? Well, we always want to see the happy face, the smiley faces, right? So I'm going to be modeling this to my kids. So we're starting with Monday for week 1. And I say, oh, you know what? I had the most awesome day today. So I'm going to insert a smiley face in there. So I'm going to click on the box right by Monday, and I'm going to go up here to insert, and look at this, insert image. And you can either insert it inside the cell or over the cells. we don't want it over the cells because then it's going to be floating out there in the middle of nowhere. So we want to put it inside the cell. So image in the cell, click there. And now it's going to ask you where you want that image. Maybe you already have a smiley face like on your desktop. For me, I don't. So what I like to do is go to then my image search, and I'm going to search for smiley face. There it is. And I'm going to pick one. And notice there's a blue box around it. And I'm going to click insert. There it is. It's right there. Now, on Tuesday, what I can do is if I had another super awesome day, is I can just drag it down with that little plus sign there. And now I have a day. But let's say Wednesday, I didn't get enough sleep and I just had a really, really tough day. I was really sad on Wednesday. So what do I need to put in Wednesday? I'm going to need to put in a sad face, right? So I'm going to click on the box, go to insert, because I'm going to insert an image and I'm going to edit in the cell. I'm going to go to my Google image search and I'm going to search for sad face, even though you really don't want to have a sad face. And I'm going to this one because this is exactly how I felt on that day. And there it is. So now that, and I could, keep putting the data in here. And then, when we have our parent teacher conferences coming up, which I know we just recently had some, I could sit down with my mom or my dad and we could look at this and what happened on Wednesday? What happened? You didn't have a good day. Tell me about that day. And then, those conversations, those real conversations, and we hope that those conversations are happening between parents and their students. But what a great way to bring that to focus, during a parent teacher conference is having something like this available for them that's digital that they can even look at whenever they want to online, as long as they have access to their student account. What do you think, Larry? You think this would be?
Absolutely. One thing I would do if I was going to do this with my students and they were tiny, instead of looking for the faces, I would kind of put the faces and have them ready at the bottom where they could go ahead and copy and paste.
So if I could I just do a copy, a Command C or a Control C, right? And I can actually put that down here at the bottom, right? And I'm just going to paste that in there. And I can do the same with the sad face. And again, that's another skill that you're teaching them, how to copy and paste, right?
Yep, absolutely.
There you go. And then they could just put them up there. Now you can have several of them where they would just drag them if you wanted to. For me, I like to do the copy paste because that's a skill that I want them to learn. So this is just another type of graphing. Now, this will not work with the charts because it's got images in it. And so it doesn't understand the images and it won't be able to make the graph. I wish that Google would do that though, because I think that would be so awesome to have a graph that actually shows how many happy faces with the happy faces as the bar graph. I think that'd be so cool if they could do that for us. That'd be great.
Yep.
But we're not there yet. Okay. All right. So any questions about adding images? You can add images outside of the box, outside of the cell, but I recommend putting them in the cell. Now, can I make these cells bigger? Yes, you can make them bigger. You can even make the smiley faces inside the cell bigger, because right now it's at a default of 10. I can actually increase it, and it should make the whole thing bigger here. Let me see. There we go. I can make it bigger as well. So I can make super big happy faces, maybe smaller sad faces if I wanted to. Then, and again, to catch their eye so they can quickly see and quickly discern, oh wow, you've had a lot of good days and you've had just a couple of not so good days. And that's just one way. We could put check mark boxes in here. Again, it won't be able to graph those because they're check boxes, but you can add all kinds of things to a spreadsheet to collect all different types of data, not just numerical data, but we can actually use images for data. Okay, I'm going to move on to the refi because it's already 5 o'clock. Can you believe it? It's already 5 o'clock. And we looked at something similar to this with Larry when he did his planes and trains. And would you have cars, planes, and trains?
That's cars, planes, and trains.
Trains and automobiles. That's such a funny movie. All right. So if I wanted to make a chart out of all of this, and you saw him how he just did Monday, and I'm going to just do the first 2 weeks. So I highlight the first 2 weeks. Okay. And again, I'm going to chart it. Okay, and now it's showing me week 1 for Monday. And what did how did I do on Monday? I got a 98 and an 87, 98 and an 87. And again, I can change those colors if I want to. Super easy. I just go into the customize and I can actually click on one of them, and I can, for week 1, I can actually change the color and make it a different color. Nope, see, it changed all of them because that was for week 1. It's all aligned to week 1. On the one that Larry showed us, they were all individual. So I could click on the cards and change the color of the cards versus the trains versus the planes. I almost said automobiles. But this is another way that we can get data for our kids. And again, being able to change the data in here is really awesome for kids, so the way they can see the charts change. But another really cool thing about Google Sheets, let's say that I make a Google site for my class, right? And every kid has their own page. What's really cool is if I insert a chart into Google Sites and the data changes out here in my Google Sheet, it will change it on my Google Sites automatically. Just like it would change it in here, it'll change it on my Google site as well. So I don't have to ever go back to Google site and change and redo another chart and pull in another chart, because it's going to automatically pull that data in. Whatever data is on the spreadsheet, it's connected to it, and it'll change it on my Google site. How about that? That's pretty cool, because I do know that there are people out there that are using Google Sites as almost like a digital binder for students, where kids have their own pages in there. Again, or maybe you want them to create their own site, to create a binder where they have pages for their language arts, their science, their math, and where they've got data, and maybe behavior data, maybe weather data. It could be all different types of data that's in there, and then that they're starting to read that data and understand how that's going to impact their graph. Because that is one thing I know as a district that we are trying to build upon, is looking at data. It's hard. Data's hard. And I know a lot of us were completely afraid of data for the longest time. not so much anymore, but are there any questions about using this? I'm going to go ahead and just change this in here. There it goes right away. Brought it down to 60. And again, just having that feature there where kids can actually look at that and wow, it actually changed. And now can you imagine if they're putting in the data and they're playing with the data and they're saying, what do I need to get? I want to get a 92 average. What do I need to get? And if they were to play with this data a little bit just to find out what they needed to get, isn't that like goal setting, Larry? Isn't that
absolutely? Absolutely, it is. Definitely.
So I'm kind of looking at it that way too. So again, having those conversations with our kids about okay, so what do you think? How well are you going to do on the next test? What are you going to do? What are you going to do to help yourself get that 88 on that test? Because you want to get an 88. How are you going to get that? What are you going to do? Tell me the steps. Hey, that almost sounds like a talk, read, talk, write, where you're going to talk about it and then you're going to write about it. These are the things I'm going to do to get my goal of 88. First of all, you can't just say study more, because that's not really anything. that could just mean, okay, 2 minutes more. But what are the things I'm going to do? I'm going to really focus on my comprehension. I'm really going to study all of my vocabulary better, whatever that skill is that you want them to work on. So one more thing, right? All right, 6 through 12. This is the same kind of data, but in a different way. So when you're going into middle school and high school, of course, you're looking at daily grades. And you'll notice that here on the 15th, which was about a week and a half ago or so, that we had all of these grades because we had all of these different classes on the 15th, and then we had them on the 16th. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. And I'm going to hit my chart, and here we go. And what's nice about these charts too is that you're able to kind of move them around, and you can create more than one type of chart. I could actually go in and create a different chart. I can make one for all of them if I wanted to. And you'll see, you saw when Larry did it, it kind of laid it on the top, but you can move them out so you can have different views. Like if we wanted to put a sum in here or an average in here, we could actually have a chart that had the average on it. So we could have the average and then we could have the daily grades. So they can actually see that in real time, what it's going to look like. There's so many ways that you can use charts. Have I lost a lot of people already? Are we all
Nope,
okay?
we're good.
We're good. All right. So there's this really cool thing I want to show you. And it just like appeared like last week. Has anybody seen it? It's in Google Docs and it's in Google Slides and it made its way to Google Sheets. Does anybody see it? It's right here. What's this? It just appeared last week and it's the Kami button. So I can click on the Kami button and look what it's going to do. It's going to open up my spreadsheet in Kami.
Now we can't see that second screen.
You can't see the second screen here?
Yep.
Let me share this tab instead. There we go. Now you can. Okay. So here's my and you see how it put them on different pages here. Okay. So now what I can do is I can actually go in here and I can annotate over this just by drawing, and I'm going to use black on this. So I can draw over the top of this. Okay. I could actually, this is the one I really focus on right here. This one, it was rainy and I got a leak in my house or whatever that is, it might be. So you can actually annotate over Google Documents, Google Slides, and Google Sheets with Kami right inside of the application. How cool is that? And you know what? I don't want this face here anymore, so I can actually just erase him. And look how quickly he goes away, okay? I could put text boxes in here. I can put equations. I can put shapes in here. Let's make a square, okay? I can make it a bright orange square, I think. Yep, it made
the outline.
Bright green. Yeah, yeah. But I can also, I don't know if it allows me to fill them. I think it does. Maybe not. But this is a great tool. If you have not used Kami before, it's a great annotator tool. So imagine, now I don't recommend like pulling up, we're talking about spreadsheets here, so we wouldn't want to put like a PDF of something in here. It kind of turns it into a PDF, as you can see, because I'm scrolling down almost like this is a document, like this is a PDF document. And I'm just kind of wondering if it's putting anything over here, but I don't think so. I think it's going to save it as a PDF file for me that I can download for later, and then my original will still be okay. On a document, it will also do the same thing where it will annotate over the top of it, and of course in Google Slides it will do that as well. But again, imagine the power of that, being able just to go into Kami and, okay, everybody, I want you to circle the 16th. I want you to circle September 16th. What? Do you see what on September 16th? Oh, here it is. Here's September 16th. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that. Okay, so which number is the biggest on September 16th? And you're going through all of the data. And of course, some of them are going to right away just look at that bar chart. And some of them are actually going to go in through the data and look at it. So try to use Kami. And if you haven't tried it, please do, because then you can save it into your Google Drive as well. Okay.
Notice, did you see, Misha, did you see the equation? If you want to put math symbols in, click on the equation.
Oh, I think that might be an upgrade. Yep, that one's an upgrade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so,
we just want the free version.
Some of you will see it at first because they're trying to get you to pay for it. But when you first use it, you're going to notice that you have the math symbols.
Yes.
And I think it's a short period of time.
Yes. And I don't know if it's still available for people, but a while ago, I was able to get something called Equatio, which allows me to draw out math symbols, and it will actually put them into Google Forms and all kinds of things. They're giving that away for free. That's from Text Help, I believe. And there's a form that you fill out, and then they will give you Equatio, and you can use it on all different types of documents and things within Google. So I highly recommend looking at that as well, because that will actually take the place of that equation, since they want to charge us for that. We don't want to have to pay for anything, right? We don't want to have to pay for anything. Any questions about using Kami? I know that we have like the PDF annotator. We have other things that we can use, but this is actually built into the Google applications. So give it a try. I'm sure your students probably have already figured out that it's there. So you might want to take a look at that. Okay. All right. So now we've talked about inputting the data. Now I already inputted this data in on my spreadsheet that's right here. As a sixth grader, a seventh grader, do you think that they would be able to do this? Yes. Where would they get this data from? Am I gonna have to write out a sheet for them with all of their assignments on it and give it to them? Is that how this is gonna work? No. What do they have access to? If you're not a middle school teacher or a high school teacher, they have access to something called the Hack the Home Access Center. That's what there's a little app that they have that they can actually go in and see their grades. And I know that at least one middle school, they're actually having the kids go do this and actually track their grades every week. They go in, they get their grades from their different teachers, and they start to plug them into a spreadsheet to actually see what their totals are and how close to their goal that they want to be, because a lot of them have created a goal at the beginning of the 9-week period. Maybe I want to get a 93 in this class. So what do I need to do to get that 93? I should be trying to get higher. I should be trying to get 100. But you know, I'm going to be a realist. I want to get a 93. So how am I going to get that 93? And oh no, I already have a 0. How's that going to affect me? And what kind of conversations would that mean with teachers and students? Imagine that. Well, what happened? Did you, oh, you know what? I know exactly what happened is I didn't know my vocabulary words this week. I didn't have time to study them. My band teacher had me up too long marching. In case of my kids, they march all the time. But something along the lines of that, right? I mean, you can have those conversations with your kids. And even with the behavior one, having that conversation with, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you had a sad day today. You know, we're trying to get more where we're doing individualized conferencing periods with our kids. Just even if it's just a few minutes, just a couple of minutes, having that one-on-one time can mean the difference for our kids. And then providing them feedback for what they're putting into their charts is also super, super important. Why is that important, Larry? Why is it important for automatic feedback? I know that
if nobody's paying attention to them, they're not going to care anymore. They want to have that information to feel the accountability and that somebody's watching and cares about them.
Yes, and in the words of my guru, Alice Keeler, if you haven't seen her, you need to. We're having another session with her coming up next in a couple of months. Now, these are her words. This is not my words. These are her words, and I always go by saying that because sometimes, you know, she says, immediate, crappy feedback is better than awesome, delayed feedback. Think about that for just a second. I have a test on Friday. I don't know what I got. Saturday happens. Sunday happens. 100 things happen to me on Saturday. You know, I'm running around doing all kinds of things. 100 things happen on Sunday. By Monday, I've already forgotten about it. It doesn't mean as much to me. Think about you as a teacher. Who walks in the door one day, you're in the middle of a lesson and you hear the door open and you look over and it's your administrator. They're coming in to do a walkthrough on you and they are just frantically writing all kinds of notes and you're going, did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Oh my gosh, I don't know. Did I have my everything up that I was supposed to have up? Did I cover everything like I was supposed to? Your wheels are turning and you're thinking and you're waiting and you're looking, checking that email, and there's been nothing back from the walkthrough. And it's day 1, and then it's day 2. Then by day 3, too many other things have happened. You totally forget about it. And then a week later, you get that email. Oh, that's right. I had a walk. Yeah, I guess I did okay. That didn't really mean that much to you. But what would happen is if you got that immediate feedback, you got it that same day. Oh, wow. You know, they wanted to see me work a little bit more on individual groups. What are you going to do? You're going to work harder to make sure that the next time that they come in, that it's there. Or maybe you had the most awesome lesson ever, and you're just on cloud 9 the whole rest of the day, going, "Wow, I did it! I knocked it out of the park today. Awesome!" That feedback is so important to us, and it's super, super important to our kids. So I'll get off my soapbox. I'm so sorry. Are there any other questions? Are there any questions at
I'm
all?
not seeing any other questions.
Okay, did anybody try any of these things out? If you did, please let us know in the chat that you did try them. Is these, you know, these are really simple things, you know, and the Kami piece is super awesome, and putting in images is really, really awesome. And then, like I said, we could put check marks in here. You know, spreadsheets, there's so many things that we can do to make it just eye pleasing for us within spreadsheets, but also we can get that data like instantly. So cool, so cool. And then of course the graphing component. Think about that with your kids. Okay, as they're putting everything together and they're making a graph, you know, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think we're just about done here. Or does anybody have a question? They want to see something else?
And just a reminder, October 16th, we start back up.
Yes.
We will be going over Flip, which is, what was it used to be called, Misha?
It used to be called Flipgrid.
Flipgrid, there you go.
And then when Microsoft bought it, it was still Flipgrid for a while, but then they gave us unlimited grids, and then they just changed it to Flip about 3 months ago. So now it's just Flip.
And then we're going to be going over Screencastify.
Screencastify.
And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Nearpod also has Nearpod Video. And if you're familiar with Edpuzzle, you know how you can create a video, and in Edpuzzle you can't scrub through. The students have to watch the entire video. Well, it does that also in Nearpod. So I'll be going over that a little bit too. And so we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, we have a couple of tools that do the exact same thing, and you just get to choose which one you want to use.
So just make sure you have an enjoyable break. Take the time to rest.
Yes.
Recharge. If you're working, work hard, but find the time to get some rest, please. Take care, everyone. Good to see y'all.